It is a very nice day here in horrible New England, but this Sunday, I think the 9th, got a race coming up. If you guys don't know, racing the KTM, it's an 04 200 EXC. Now, if you guys saw my 2 videos ago, my last race wasn't great, was super muddy, super slick. I only finished 2 laps, but I did finish. Hoping this weekend is a bit more dry. And even if it's not, I think I learned some good skills, both from watching a few videos and other people race at that same exact track. I think I learned a good few skills to get faster in the mud. Today, I'm going to be working on the Firebird a little bit. Going to be starting off with some practice in the KTM. Nice early Friday morning practice. Not really that early, I think it's 9 a.m. But you get the idea. Got to top her off with some gas, check some fluids, and take it for a rip. So I topped her off with some 93, and I wanted to put more coolant in because, like I said, guys, this thing's been burning or eating coolant or something. Pulled the radiator cap off. There's motor oil inside my radiator. So it looks like I'm probably not going to be able to race this weekend. There are 2 possible gaskets that I'm hypothesizing are shot. And there's this one right here, which it's all one big side case gasket for both the water pump and the crankcase, which is horrendous design in my opinion, but whatever. Could also be a jug gasket right up here where maybe it ripped during one of the, or in between one of the cooling jackets. And then it's just allowing it to seep by into the pistons, into the crankcase, and that's what we're seeing. That's where my coolant would be going. That's why it might be smoking so much, because some of it might be burning, some of it might be mixing with the crankcase, or some of it's definitely mixing with the crankcase. But that would make some sense. That would explain why it looks kind of frothy. I think the oil was pink when I put it in, and now it's got this nice gray color to it. So got some oil mixing, some water mixing in the bottom end. Gonna see. It's very unlikely that I can get the parts in time for Sunday. Again, guys, it's Friday afternoon. Unless someone has it in stock, there's pretty much no hope of getting that bike done. Unless I get 1-day shipping, it shows up tomorrow, and I just work throughout the whole night to get it set. But even then, I still can't practice, so it'd be tight, but that's kind of the racing life, I guess. Kind of what I signed up for. Gonna call around. I know there's a KTM shop about 50 miles into Connecticut. Every other dealer near me isn't allowed to sell KTM anymore because they suck. So there's that. Even the place I bought gear from, I believe, doesn't sell KTM. So after a little research, a little bit of testing, I think I've narrowed it down to the water pump seal. It makes the most sense. I started the bike, which took a surprising amount of kicks, but it's been 2 weeks since I've run it. So giving it the benefit of the doubt there. Got the bike started and I popped the radiator cap off. Now obviously I could see the milky mess splashing around, not a good sight to see. However, what I didn't see was air bubbles or it getting frothier. It was kind of just, splashing around like coolant does without a radiator cap on. I would say coolant, but it's really not coolant. It's more so oil, but you guys get the idea. I saw it splashing around, but I didn't see it bubbling and it didn't look aerated, so that leads me to believe it's the water pump shaft seal and all that junk. Now, I called up some places. Of course, everywhere local doesn't have it, but it seems like a place called Cliff Cycles up in Norfolk, Mass has it. I'm gonna head up there. It's like an hour drive, give or take, and he said I can get all the parts to completely rebuild the water pump for like under 50 bucks. So I'm gonna go there. Hopefully the parts are there, and he said he has them. And I talked to him because he seems like a KTM guru over there, and he believes it's the same issue. He said it's unlikely it's really any of the other gaskets. If it's mixing but it's not burning off, which again I think I'm just over fueling because I have too big of jets. Gonna see if he can hook me up with some jets as well. He said it's most likely that it's like the only gasket where it can really happen. It's an O-ring, a shaft seal, and he seems to understand KTMs pretty well, so I'm gonna ask him some other questions, see how to dial it in, get the bike ready. But gonna take the Prelude, head out to Norfolk, Mass. Really hoping this fixes the problem. Gotta grab some motor oil, some coolant, some brake fluid while I'm there because I need DOT4 brake fluid, and hopefully that water pump shaft seal fixes it because I didn't see any air, so I don't think it's the jug cracked, or I don't think any compression is leaking by. It feels like it's got, decent compression. I'm sure it could use a ring or whatever, but it feels good. So I just got back from Cliff's Cycles up in Norfolk, Mass. Got coolant, trans clutch, bottom end oil, and the big piece that I think was causing my issue. It's a water pump rebuild kit, and I also got a new shaft, I guess. Now, the idea is gonna be pop this off, drain the fluids, pop the water pump off, rebuild it, put it back on, fill up my fluids again. Sounds easier than it is, but this skid plate's probably going to take a few minutes just to get off anyway, because the way it's, well, getting it off is easy, getting it back on isn't. So I'm going to start off with the skid plate. I'm going to move the bike over a little bit. It got oddly cold out. It was nice. So working on my engine in the freezing cold 2 days before my race. Gotta love it. She milky. A lot of colors in there. So while that's draining, I'm going to pop off the bottom water pump drain bolt. I'm assuming we're going to see the exact same fluid come out. Like literally identical to that. So let's see what we can get out of here. Seems awful gray for coolant. So I went ahead, stood the bike back up, drained out the coolant and the oil, got the housing off. It was literally just these 5 bolts around the outside. I also took out the drain bolt, which I actually lost. That's awkward. Anyway, so yeah, right now I just took out the center bolt right here. That goes inside the shaft right here, and that'll allow me to pull off this impeller. Should be able to get to more of my seals from there. There's also an O-ring right there, which I should have a new one of. Never done a water pump before, but theoretically with a little bit of wiggling, I should. And again, this is plastic, so I gotta be careful. So I neglected to film literally all of it, but I was able to rebuild the water pump. Now, there's another bearing on the inside that I didn't rebuild. Pretty sure I have to pull the whole side of that case off. Wasn't worth it at all. Now, the bearing that came out wasn't too good, and this is called, I want to say, the impeller shaft. Let me get some good lighting here. So this right here, like I said, I believe it's called your impeller shaft. There's a huge groove worn in it where it sits in the seal just from it rotating over time. As it rotates, as it moves, it wears down. And as that groove grows deeper, it's going to let more water pass the seal into the crankcase. That's my theory, is either the seal went bad. The seal looked okay, not bad at all. That having the huge groove in it, I actually had the same exact issue on the other side of the bike on the shifter shaft. One of the bushings had a huge groove in it. I believe that was causing a massive leak as well, if you guys remember back when I first bought the KTM. So I'm hoping that was the issue. I rebuilt it. I just filled it up with some nice brand new Motor X 1550 700 milliliters or 700 cc's. Same thing. I'm also thinking I might make it shift and clutch a bit better, because when you mix water in your transmission, not going to be the best. So I just took the bike for a quick, probably 5 minutes of riding, not even really, just through the woods at my house, and it didn't lose any coolant, which is good, because I'm pretty sure beforehand it would have. So now that I'm recording, I'm a little bit looser. After riding through the mud, I want to ride so much faster, and I want to get so much better. So here I'm definitely faster already. Obviously I'm still not fast, but I'm faster, and improvement on terrible. You still may be horrible, but it's an improvement. Oh yeah, I also got to change my jetting because I think I'm running too rich. Not enough room around those cars to get in the corner. It's the next day, obviously doing some nighttime riding last night with no headlights. Little iffy, but what we're doing now, I called up one of the local shops, Metzger Motorworks. He said he has some carb jets that I can go check out, and I'm hoping that these are stock jets that are in here now, and the plan is like, you know, the theory is sort of they're worn down and they're opened up so they're bigger than they should be, causing it to run a bit fat. Obviously don't want it to run too rich, get too much fuel in there. I also have to clean out my air filter real quick and then practice some more, make sure I like however I end up tuning it. And then tomorrow's race day, that'll be a separate video, so this is sort of like all the race prep and practice and whatnot. So took the carb off. Sadly they were out of the only jets that I needed, but I was able to pick up some DOT4 brake fluid, so I actually have front brakes, and some extra foam filter oil. What I'm gonna do now is swap out tires. As I was talking to Lance from Metzger Motorworks, he basically said the track that's coming up is really rocky and really watery. And I mentioned, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm on some like super hard motocross tires with like super high pressure. He goes, yeah, you'll have a terrible time if that's your setup. So I had to make another little emergency run, but I do want to give a massive shout out to Lance over at Metzger Motorworks. I called him pretty much an hour before he closed. He's got to head out to the same race that I'm heading out for. So I was getting my bike ready, and I called him and he was able to get me 2 tires mounted, all set on the KTM here. Got the Kenda Washougal 2 in the front and a Pirelli something, I don't know, but it's better than what I had on before, that's for sure. And I talked to him before and he told me that the tires I had, or just tire selection in general, was super important, especially for this upcoming track. And I wanted to make sure I had it all dialed, but now I know I got brand new tires. They're perfect. They have 0 miles on them, so it's the first time I've ever owned a dirt bike with brand new tires. Of course, the CBR is brand new tires, but you don't really feel it on the road nearly as much as you do in the dirt. So that was a little bit of riding. I think the bike's pretty okay. I definitely need to change out the jetting. It's just, they're way too big. So no matter how much I adjust my air fuel screws, it really doesn't matter because it's like overfueling a ton. Still totally rideable. Gonna be racing tomorrow. Gonna load up the bike and all my gear, but I'm gonna end this video here. If you guys like this video and you wanna see the race, that'll be uploaded tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe. Getting super close to 1,000. I think we're 13 subscribers away from 1,000, so hit that button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I work on my Firebird here, the Prelude, the Jeep, race dirt bikes, all the fun stuff. So you guys want to see that, you know what to do. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Comment down below if you have been racing Enduro this year, if you're racing Netra. I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys have any advice, be sure to comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Told my brothers one day we gon' make it. We just gotta grind for that paycheck. Mama told me one day I'll be famous. Remember when she used to say she hate this. Back then they would laugh when I say shit. Now I'm inside all them people's playlists. So one day I'll be stomping.